Congratulations. It's a good reception. Again, this is Rivas. So, well, since Camila isn't here, and you mentioned her in your intro, but if you can just tell us a little bit more about Camila and how this project came about.
Yeah, about like 6 years ago, thank you for staying, by the way. You've been sitting down for a very long time. About 6 years ago, before Facebook and Twitter existed, there was a lot of photo blogs in Chile where you posted a picture and just write a text. And there was like a community of people posting. You were like anonymous, no one knew who anyone was. So I came across this blog, and this girl was writing either like very explicit, blunt sexual tales, or like tender stories about her religion. And I keep thinking, is she for real? All the time I keep reading like every 2 days or every week, I'm like, she must be lying, like she cannot be like this. So I start like a conversation with her through the blog by posting. And after like 6 months, I guess, I wrote her. I was living at Spain at that time, and I just wrote her, I'm going to Chile, I want to meet you, I want to work with you, I don't know in what yet, a movie of course, I don't know what kind, and let's meet. So we meet, I told her she was real. She said yes, and it started like that.
And how did you, I mean, this movie is very energetic and very poppy, and there's so many different elements to this film. How did you go from blog to envisioning this?
Yeah, well, there was always two aspects that I kept in mind all the time. Like visually, I didn't want to make a movie that was cut to a face, cut to a computer, cut to a face. Because I don't think that is how we experience the internet, like even with the phones now. You're like in it, you know. So I got together with the designer, who's called Pablo González, and he's very talented, and we kept like doing demos and like trying things out. And I also knew that I wanted to be like very baroque in many ways, like because when you are in the internet, you open and open windows and everything is different. So we end up coming to this kind of like, what the word in English? Abstract. Like, for example, the penises or the vaginas are like abstract, like two colored images. And we decided to go with always either like blue or magenta, because the Camila is so like cut in half, you know. She believes in God. She doesn't believe in God, but she's afraid of God. She's bisexual. She had this blog that the family didn't know, and she was writing all this, but she was going to church. So she was so fractured, and I was so attracted to the fracture that I wanted to reflect in the movie also, like visually.
And Alicia, did you obviously have a huge responsibility in executing the life of Camila on screen. How can you tell us more about how you worked with Camila and also with Marianne in order to play this role?
I knew Marianne and Camila before the movie. I used to read the blog she had, and she was very involved with the whole process of the movie. So I had the chance to talk to her and ask her whatever I needed for the character. So that's my approach with her. I knew her work before, and as I said, I knew her before too. So it was very easy because we are women. So it's like a code we share. Just that.
And did you have any reservations in taking on a role that was demanding in various ways?
I knew what was this movie about because when Marielle won this won to make this movie, I was like, wow, she's going to make this movie about Young and Wild. Wow. And I called her, and she said like, yes, yeah. And a few months later, she called me and she asked me if I could go to the audition, and I said, of course. And of course I thought like, wow, this is a huge challenge for me, but it was great though, so I went and did the movie.
And how many actresses did you look at?
I saw Alicia when she was 15. She did a movie called Navidad that premiered in Cannes 2009. Yes. With a very different one also than Lily. I thought she had this enigmatic thing to her, and I always knew I wanted Alicia to play the role because the character is also always telling you what she's feeling, but you need to doubt that she's really feeling that or not. When I was reading the blog, I didn't know if she was lying or not. So I wanted to create also that distance. So for me, it was always Alicia, and then the producer made me cast like 300 girls, just to go back to her. She's Alicia. It's not my generation, so maybe she should answer.
Maybe, I don't know, everybody has their own sexuality.
Yeah, but in a way, I think,
yeah, in a way, yes.
I have little brothers and sisters, and I was once we went to dinner, and my two brothers, one is 18 and the other one is 21. And I said, yeah, well, I try with men, but I don't like them. I'm like, what? And they have girlfriends, and I'm like, okay. So this is for real. At least in Chile now there is this huge opening, 22 years old.
Yeah. She's like...
Yeah, something very special happened, special and sad. But the same night that we were premiering the movie, as the movie was starting, this kid that was gay bash, he died. So I think the country emotionally connected these two things, and somehow they decided that it was enough. So it was really well received actually. People felt proud and say, oh, we Chileans are modern because this movie is ours. So in a way, people open to the movie. But it's a very conservative and homophobic country still, but I think they are sick of it. I think Chile is fractured also as the character, because on one side you have all the factive powers, people that really the power that are very conservative and Catholics, but there is a whole new generation of people, and half of the country who wants free education and more sexual education and everything. So I think it reflects a little bit the country, this girl, in a way.
Hi. I love the term evangeloons. I just love that. I'm going to use that from now on. The thing that really just struck me about it was the kind of schizophrenia, the emotional schizophrenia that she struggled with. That one end where, the far right Christian ideal of, of that rigidity and just the freedom and the natural movement of somebody's body that just needs to connect to other people. I don't know exactly what the question is, but the point is that I was just very moved by that. And could you just elaborate a little bit more on that struggle?
Yeah, I think maybe as a society we're in that struggle too. I think religion has dedicated their life to repress a very natural thing that is sex. I think the more you have it in consent, of course, your life is going to be better, and if you enjoy it. And somehow, I do think we need, like most people need a spiritual guidance also. So that clash is so essential to our lives that I think that we are also able to be schizophrenic as a society, like this Judaistic Christian society that is only 2,000 years old is not that much for humanity, you know, but we're in here now. I think
I'm curious about the casting process for the people who were responding to the blog. Was that a traditional casting, or was that...
Those are mostly all my siblings, their friends. I didn't have money at that point, so I just called some friends. It was not this February, March. The March of 2011, yes. She's 26, she's a journalist. She writes for this anarchist newspaper. What did happen though is that the family found, because when I approached her I said, this movie, I'm going to try to make it as big as I can. She keeps saying, yeah. And I'm like, your parents are going to know about the movie. And she's like, no, they won't. I'm like, Camila, I assure you, your parents are going to know about the movie. Can we address this? No. So 2 days before going to Sundance, they found out. So the mom calls her and she says, are you young and white? And that was the last time they spoke, actually. They moved to Haiti to make a new church. And Camila always says, well, I lost my family, but I gained myself. So I think it's a good thing to have, like your own self. So that is Camila. She's a very brave woman. That took us, well, first of all, I have a wonderful, fantastic graphic designer called Pablo Gonzalez, who is so talented, you know. So he kept saying to me, you're driving me crazy because you always want more. And I'm like, yes. But we keep like approaching to each of the things, like, and redoing it until we liked it. But we decided certain like lines, like it's gonna play with these two colors. We're gonna do like GIF, animated GIFs. We're gonna steal things from wherever we want to. You know, just like, because at the beginning it seemed like walking up the Everest or something, because there were so many places from where to approach. But we always said we wanted clean in a way, even though it's very baroque. It has to have one voice, the graphic design. So that is how we are writing all of this.
I have a question for you about, I would say that a lot of my favorite films right now are coming out of Chile, the films of Sebastián Silva and a film that's playing here in New York in a few weeks, Thursday to Sunday, and Bonsai, and a new film that's going to emerge this fall called No. Do you think that there is some kind of Chilean new wave that a lot of these young filmmakers are a part of, or is that something that's imposed by people like programmers and journalists?
I think it's both. Like, it has, like, for example, Sebastián is here today, we're good friends, I love his movies. Pablo Larraín, who made No, is my producer. He did camera work in some of the scenes. Sebastián Lelio, who's also done good films, he's also a good friend of mine. And I guess, like, during the 70s, we had, like, amazing filmmakers like Rodríguez or Patricio Guzmán. And a lot of them, of course, were killed during the dictatorship. And somehow, after 20 years of democracy, though that, like, see reconnected to the voices of today, very unconsciously, because they shut down the film school, they killed everybody, like the rest of the filmmakers were exiled. So there was no voice for many years in film for Chile. So I guess, and because we have no industry, so we don't need to respond to any standard, we just do whatever we want. And at the same time, we live so far away that I think that we have the notion that we have to scream really loud and clear to be heard. So I guess all those things mixed together are making this happen. I'm writing with Camila a film called The Princess. We got into the Sundance Lab. They gave us a grant to write the new film. And it's about, I read this news in the newspaper about this little girl, 11-year-old girl that was living with her grandfather, 4 uncles, not married, and the mom in the south of Chile, in a really poor, like, little town. And she stopped going to school for several months. The teacher got worried and she called the police. And when the police went to the house, the uncles went out, like, shooting and speaking in a weird language, and they came back the next day with the SWAT team. They went in the house and they had this black goat in the middle of the house, a lot of figures of the Virgin Mary, and they were all dressed in white, saying that the end of the world was coming, and this girl was the chosen one to carry the new Messiah. So from that start point, we developed a story about, like, sexuality at 11, because I think children are very sexual, at least I was. And I want to speak about that. But from that side, that is a very dark, I always said I'm basing in the chiaroscuro painting, like you see only like 20% of the frame and the rest is black and black. Yeah, it's more like Rosemary's Baby kind of vibe, actually.
And Alicia, what about you?
I'm going to work with, not with with Bernardo Quesnay, who's a very young filmmaker in Chile. He made this experimental film called Special Effects, and now he's making this new film called Natural Disasters. I don't know yet how it's about, what it's about, but I'm looking forward.
I was afraid to write at the beginning, so I got the idea. I called this. Actually, I had a dream. Well, it's a long story. But I dreamt with a novelist, a Chilean novelist that used to live here in New York. We talked on the phone, and I said, "Can you write the movie for me?" She wrote a first draft that had almost nothing to do with this movie, and with that, we won the grant from the government. And then after that, my producer said, okay, now we're gonna really get into the script, and we worked with Pedro Beirano, who is the writer, co-writer of the name, the movie, Sebastian B. and Los Angeles. And what we did with Pedro was structure the movie. Like, he didn't actually write, we just talked about structure and this, like, layover. And then me and Camila, we wrote the movie, the dialogues and the whole script, and then at the end another guy came in, just because I felt that it was not elliptical enough at that point. It was like kind of first act, second act, third act, and I didn't want the movie to be like that, so he helped us to, like, break it a little bit more. And then actually it was in the editing room where the movie came to its final shape. We also did, like, a lot of new scenes 6 months after, because it was like a Rubik's Cube kind of structure, so it was long and fun.
I want to thank Daniela and Alicia for being here.